Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I hope you are having a fabulous week so far. I do apologize before I jump in for missing a week last week. I was coming off the back of the Frequency Project launch and I honestly was exhausted, which got me thinking about launching in relationship to human design. So that's actually going to be the topic of today's conversation. We're going to explore launching as a concept, and this is going to be particularly relevant if you are a coach, if you have digital products, a course, a membership, things like that. If you don't, this could also be true of big bursts of activity in your business behind a particular product. Maybe it's a sale or a promotion, something like that. But really, this episode is primarily going to be talking to you as somebody who sells or may have the opportunity to sell through a launch model, which does tend to marry up with people that are selling digital products. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about my launch and my launch experience by way of example and context. So if you're new to this podcast, hi, so excited to have you join me. If you've been around, you likely already know that I am a generator in human design with a profile 5-1. I'm a sacral generator and I have the 3 in my sun personality and also in my Mercury personality, which is very much about what I call alchemy, or you may refer to it as difficulty at the beginning. Okay, so that's some context about my human design chart in case that gives you some reference points to appreciate where I'm coming from. So here's my experience with launching. I have had an online business for coming up to 5 years, and I have been launching for a little over 4 years, or at least attempting to launch. No, let's be real. I've been launching for just over 4 years. Now, my early experiences were not great. And in fact, the very first time I went live with what I thought was a launch, I made no sales. And then I started experimenting with, okay, so what if I take this digital product thing and make it something much simpler? So I launched a live masterclass, which was just a one-off. And that's when I started making sales for the first time. And that was coming up to 4 years ago, a bit over 4 years ago. And then after that, I dove all the way in. I started launching quite regularly. So I haven't counted, but I would imagine that I have launched somewhere around 20 times in the last 4 years. So yeah, I am a very seasoned launcher. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales through launching, in particular my mastermind, the Momentum Mastermind, which is a very high level mastermind that has been running consecutively for 3.5 years. So I've had lots of beautiful women go through that. So I do have a bucket load of experience with launching, not all of the different types of launch strategies. So generally with a launch, you are going to run something like an event to attract as many eyes onto your offer as possible. And then you're going to open up for the opportunity to buy for a short period of time. Now, I've done that for the most part using challenges. So potentially a 5-day or a 3-day challenge where I'm inviting you into a Facebook group and we're getting to know each other over the course of a week. And then towards the end, I make the paid program available. I have done that a number of times, but I got to the point where I found that I was very exhausted and I'd run out of excitement if it got towards the end of the week and there weren't as many people coming live, which is pretty normal, to be honest. People kind of start out in that kind of environment, showing up and all in, and then they kind of move into, maybe I'll watch this one on the replay, or that could just be me being inexperienced at that point and not keeping their attention or not having the right strategy around maintaining attendance. So there's so many things in this to unpack. More recently, I have primarily launched with a live masterclass, which I really enjoy. I absolutely love this as a 5-1. I love being on video. I love being live with people. I also appreciate the opportunity with something like a 90-minute masterclass to go quite deep into my line 1 wisdom. So all up, I would say my favorite launch approach that I've tried is a masterclass model. But I have also done things like I've launched without any event, which has just been a social media launch. As I said, a launch where I am relying heavily on a community kind of build where it's a week-long event. And then there is this masterclass type launch. So that's 3 different types of launches that I have run. And I can't think of any others that I've tried, but some of the other launch strategies may be doing things like pre-recording your masterclasses instead of running them live. So there's different ways of doing this launch thing. So it's not a one size fits all at all. At all. And so I can't come to you and say, if you're this type of or if you're this type, or if you're this profile, launching is for you or not. It's a very individual thing. And I have learned that my most successful sales months have come off the back of a big launch to this day. And the Frequency Project has been no exception to that. I just had an incredibly successful launch. I had my sight set on bringing 10 minimum new clients into the Frequency Project, and my goal was a $15,000 launch, and I hit my goals. In fact, I have 13 incredible women on the inside, and there was lots of other things about this launch that were incredibly successful. I've never had so many people sign up organically, and I did boost a couple of Instagram posts, but it was a very organic launch. I had over 100 people sign up to the masterclass, which was thrilling. And then I had 38, 40, depending on what moment it was in the masterclass, on live with me. And the majority of them stayed all the way through. So if you're here listening to this podcast and you were one of those beautiful humans, thank you so much. I loved being in that environment with you. The engagement was high. Oh, by the way, if you're waiting for me to announce the prize, which I did have as part of the launch event, that is coming. I've just been in this post-launch energy slump, which I'm going to talk about in a minute as well. So amazing launch. But if I'm really honest with you, I didn't enjoy the whole thing. And this is one of the things about launching that I want to be real with you about. It's freaking hard. It's a lot of energy in a concentrated period of time. And it's not just the tiredness that gets you, it's also the vulnerability of selling very loudly. And what I mean by that is you're sending a ton more emails, you're going live on your social platforms, there is selling content. And then you kind of have this is me at least, you have this expectation that every launch is going to be the one that just absolutely blows your expectations out of the water. This is how I feel, I think, that I go into every launch. And then I navigate my launches with roller coaster emotions. So this last launch is no exception. coming out of the launch masterclass, I had six amazingly, perfectly aligned clients sign up on the first day. And I was like, oh my God, this is huge. And also, well, I had 4 on the last round, and I had less than half the number of people in the masterclass of the last round. So if I look at the stats based on having 40 women with me for that masterclass live, then I would have expected more like 8 to 10 just on that first day. As I said, this is me and having high expectations, and also being quite seasoned at launching and understanding that generally you can estimate things like signups based on your previous experiences. And especially in this case, because I was running the exact same launch event. Like, I rinsed and repeated from the first time. I didn't create a new presentation. It was exactly the same thing. So even though I was like, oh, this is amazing, this is fantastic, there was a part of me that was disappointed on day one. And then over the course of the 7 days, and again, you can run your launch strategies for whatever feels good in your body. But for me, I'm like a week, and that is enough, because I know what I'm like, right? I know that I put a lot of pressure on myself, that I feel very vulnerable, that my emotions are all over the place. I know all of these things about myself. And so 7 days is like, that's my limit. Maybe it's, I could sneak to 9 if it's running over a weekend, but really I go for around 7 days. Now, in the Frequency Project launch, those first 6 people that signed up came in very easily. And then I feel that the other 7 involved more conversation. And for the whole mid stage of the cart, I had no one buying, and I was struggling energy-wise. And I was looking at email stats and seeing all the people clicking and seeing all of you incredible humans that were interested. And I was reaching out to some of you, asking if you were actually considering it and if you needed to talk, things like that. And I was really working it in the background, but it took towards the last couple of days for sales to start coming through again. And so my emotions, it was challenging. And, at the same time, I was thinking about, is launching right for me? Because this is really a normal experience for me, that I find it draining. I don't find it like very lit up for the whole thing. And I've really been giving that some thought, because ultimately, I know that when I'm aligned with my human design, that things work more effortlessly. And an example is how much I enjoyed the launch masterclass. Like, that was my favorite thing. And the whole launch was running that class at the beginning. And yeah, those 6 initial signups, whilst I mathematically thought it might be more, was so exciting. And so there's part of me that's now kind of really processing, well, is this the right launch strategy for me? And I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of going through that process, and I wanted to be honest with you, because I know I'm not alone with this. I know there are a lot of you out there that have mixed experiences with launching. And here's the thing. I think that nobody finds launching easy, but when you're at a point where you've tipped into high demand and you've done the work to really nurture your audience, and you've prepped and the runway's on point, and you actually have a significant audience, and you have hundreds and thousands of people going through your launch event, and the sales flow through, then you will love launching. Okay? Here's the reason we don't love launching: because we expect that for the energy we're putting out, we're going to be overwhelmed with success. So if you've launched in the past and you've decided it's not good for you, I want you to ask yourself this question. Is it because you were disappointed with the number of sales? Is it because you felt vulnerable? I don't think that those 2 things, if you say to me, yeah, I was disappointed with the result and I didn't like selling very much, I'm going to tell you to toughen up, because it is still business that we're running here, right? And I have had the experience of years and years of launching. And even though I feel that it is exhausting at times and that I experience roller coaster emotions, I wouldn't have the successful business with the number of amazing clients and humans that I've been able to work with very closely if I didn't launch. It wouldn't be true for me. And that's despite the fact that I'm in this position of really wanting to evaluate whether this style of launching is right for me, because I'm a big enough girl. I've got my big girl pants on to know that launching works. Launching works. It absolutely works. I think the more interesting place to kind of investigate and experiment with is which model within launching is right for you. Now, having said that, there are going to be some energy types where it just is too much. Like, I know that. But if you're a generator, if you're a manifesting generator, you likely do have the energy for launching, and it's more a mindset challenge or a strategy challenge within the launch. Sorry, not sorry. And I want to be real about that with you. And I am going to go through the different types and also the different lines to give you a little bit more context around what that could look like, and whether, yes, okay, maybe you are someone that live launching doesn't work for. We're going to go there. But I firstly wanted to say to you, I know about me, and I suspect this about you, that if I was running my launch and getting sales flowing in that matched or exceeded what I really want, my heart's desires, and it flowed consistently throughout my launch, I would tell you that I love launching. I would tell you that. I know that it's an expectation and a detachment thing with me, and that's work for me to do. Now, before we go on, I did want to remind you that episode 135 of the podcast was about selling through the lens of human design, and, really taken from not just a launch perspective, but different sales model and ways of messaging. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I would suggest that you go back and do that, because it's very much on point with this conversation, but there's some opportunities in there, and there's some things that you can explore around selling to really help you up level. And I do these things that I'm talking about in episode 135. And let's face it, despite everything I've shared with you, I've just come off the back of an incredibly successful launch. And I am so thrilled. Now that I'm like, the launch is behind me, I've just spent a week of what I would call recalibrating, because I died. Really needed to reconnect in with me and nurture self and get lots of sleep. But I'm out the other side now, and I'm thrilled. And I'm also wanting to evaluate what felt good, what didn't feel good, how can I optimize my launch process, what's it going to be like in the future? And I'm working with that. I mean, it's always an experiment, right? Okay, now let's talk about you and the different types, and whether launching is in fact a strategy that is in alignment with your energy. So number one is your type. Now, I've already said this, but I would suggest that if you are a generator or a manifesting generator and you have this sacral superpower, you have high levels of magnetism, that people are going to enjoy you launching. The right people are going to engage with you. You will enjoy kind of being out the front and aligning into your offers, and really getting clear on what your clients are desiring, what they truly want, and working with your messaging to attract those beautiful clients into your world. So yes, launching is great for generators and manifesting generators. And we'll also talk about profile lines, because there's some nuances in there. But if you don't enjoy launching, I would say don't blame your human design. Okay? Manifestors I also think that manifestors are great at launching. They have this strong, powerful presence. And when it's done in a way that works well with their energy, maybe that includes some pre-recorded masterclasses or even multiple days event with pre-records. That's a strategy that can help with anyone. But when I'm thinking of a manifestor, the combination of some pre-recorded to work with their energy, which works in bursts, and also scheduling in downtime for when the cart closes. Yes, I'm going to say yes to manifestors launching, because you know what? We love the energy of this powerhouse human who has so much creative force to share that it is a very engaging energy. Projector. Less energy for launching, and also there's some context around the waiting for invitation aspect. Now, this is not to say projectors should not launch, because I have absolutely witnessed some amazing projectors knocking it out of the park when they launch. So I don't think any type can say, no, launching isn't for you. But with a projector type, and thinking about the projector strategy, what I would encourage you to do as a projector, and I say this quite a lot when we're talking about your marketing, is be so good in your lead up to the launch. Get yourself on as many podcasts as possible, share your wisdom to the point of discomfort, and run an event where you give away more magic than you are particularly feeling good about, because you're like, if I go this far, people won't buy from me. I am nervous. This is the kind of strategy that actually works for a projector, because there is a beautiful universal law called the law of reciprocity. When we get so much value from someone, and ask yourself this, because I know it's true for me, I want to pay you. If you've given me so much in your free content, I want to find a way to pay you. So this is such an amazing strategy for you as a projector, when you start to appreciate that you going a little bit beyond where you're comfortable is how you become the invitation. You become the invitation. You're not waiting in that environment. You're being the invitation, and that generates incredible uptake in what you have to offer. So that's some nuance around the projector. And then for the reflector, well, this is about attuning to what your audience are most seeking from you. Okay, so you need to be in a place of really attuning into how do your people like to buy. You do have less energy sources, but if you put yourself in environments where there are lots of other types, that's going to shift a bit. And this is true for projectors as well, right? It's when you're around other energy types, particularly generators and money gens, that you're going to feel more energized. So these are things you can work with in the way you launch as well. Finally, with the reflector energy, I wouldn't be launching regularly. This might be something that you do once, maybe twice a year, and you definitely have a strategic launch that works with your energy. And only you can really understand and appreciate what that means for you. So that's by type. Now getting into the profile line. So let's go through this 1 through 6. As a line 1, you are somebody that goes really deep into your subject matter, and you become an authority because you go so deep. So you will actually really enjoy long form content in your launch event. And by the way, it doesn't need to be live. These are all nuances within your launch. So depending on what other line you have, you want to really be thinking about both lines as we go through this. But for line 1, I will say that something longer form is going to give you that opportunity to enjoy sharing your incredible depth of knowledge. For the line 2, more difficult, because you have this desire to be more in your cave. So for the line 2, and it does again depend on what your other line is, but for the line 2, I think that working with your absolute genius to pre-record content would be a better strategy than running live. As I said, this really depends on your other line. If you've got if your other line's a 5, that could change this. Line 3. So as a line 3, I think you have beautiful energy for launching because you're okay with nothing being a failure, with it all being stimulus to learn from. Everything's an experiment. And launching is a lot like that. Every single time you go into one of these big bursts and put yourself out there, you are going to have a chance to experiment with what feels good for you, what works, and really go deep into your stats and your analytics to optimize and keep improving. So beautiful, beautiful opportunity for you as a line 3 to experiment and find the launching style that works best for you. Line 4. All right. So line 4s tend to be better at the ground up style of marketing, which means referrals. So you're the type of energy that could work really well with affiliate marketing. Now, this does necessitate for you to have run something and had lots of people go through it generally for them to want to be an affiliate, but I do see affiliates being a really good strategy for you. Another opportunity, and maybe I should have gone the other way around, is building a community to launch to. So rather than doing a one-off event, you might look to open a Facebook group just for the launch and be in there doing what you love doing most, which is talking to everybody, getting people talking to each other, opening up collaborations. And then on the back end, you want to use those networks of yours, your friends, your peers, to help you fill that Facebook group. Okay, so you want to be in touch with all of those incredible humans that you have beautiful friendships with and get them to share what's coming up for you and what you're going to be offering and promote your launch for you. So there you go, 4s. You actually have some incredibly strategic ways of using your energy to launch. The line 5. This is me as a line 5, and I am, as I said before, a 5-1. I know that my energy is good for launching. It doesn't mean that there's not other parts about me that find it difficult, but it works. Okay, so I've just taken you through the fact I've just launched to over 100 people signing up to my event, 40 coming on live, 13 incredible women joining this round of the Frequency Project. It's undeniable, right, that launch was a success. And as I said earlier, I have launched up to something like 20 times, and overall it's been very successful. Not going to lie, have had the odd launch along the way that has been a complete flop as well, but we're always learning. And for the line 5, you do actually give some attention to how can I bring this information in a way that's really practical? How can I get clear around what the problem is that people are having and offer the solution through my event to get them into the bigger program? And that works really, really well with your energy as a 5. Then we have the line 6. Line 6s are amazing teachers. And so for you, launching is an opportunity for you to teach. So I want you to be thinking about what format do I enjoy teaching in the most? And when you get that right and you're in the energy of teaching and you are very strategic around the style that fits for you, that you enjoy, then yes, launching is going to be an opportunity for you to get out there and teach your community about the topic that you're the expert in, that you're the guide in, that you're so wise in. And yes, the 6 really, it's a stage of life thing, but you've been a 3, you know about the experimentation, and like a 3, you appreciate that the more times you do this, the more you learn. Nothing's a failure. It's all about taking the next step and moving into the higher frequencies, becoming more optimized and enjoying it more and more every time. So that's a little summary of launching and the different types. I'm very curious to hear from you. So jump into my Instagram and let me know whether I called you out on not enjoying launching because it just hasn't worked yet, or anything else that landed for you during this episode. I'd love to hear from you. As ever, I'm always available over on Instagram at Yvette Mayer _. My name is spelled YVETTEMAYER. Come on over, have a chat. Love to hear from you. I am still going to be processing this launch myself and really having a think about how do I want to launch in future. So stay tuned for what that looks like. Then again, 2 launches in a row that have been successful and rinse and repeat the second time. There's something in that. So that's also to be considered. And other than that, I am pleased to be on the other side of all of that huge energy, and it's going to be at least a couple of months before I do that again, and by then I'll be excited rather than tired at the thought. And that's the kind of thing that I want you to know as well, that at the end of the day, this is about service and serving as many people as possible, and launching is an incredible way to do that. And so if you've resisted launching and this podcast has given you a little bit of a kick, good. I kind of wanted it to do that, and to also really affirm that it doesn't matter what human design type you are. At the end of the day, it's about the strategy for selling that works best for you. Over and out for now. I'll be back in your ears shortly. Have a good one. Bye. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.